So, what makes a rifle a real tool? Is it the brand? Is it the material it's made of? Is it the price tag? Or is it the person behind it? Well, whatever it is, we're going to figure something out today, hopefully. And I got two rifles where they're going to be competing against each other. I'm going to just explain what they are, the reliability of them, the pros and cons of each one. And then we're going to get into the reality about setting up your rifle for what it's actually designed to do and what you need it for, not what Instagram needs it for. So it's going to be real world stuff. Then we're going to jump right into real world defensive shooting. Some two good stories that are be coming up, and then a no BS about your zeroing and why it matters. This is DCF Guns Untamed. Let's get into it. Hey, everybody. So let's kind of jump into these things. Got a Daniel defense over here, and then we got an LWRC on this side. First thing I'm gonna talk about is the different gas systems or lack thereof, but not really. So the Daniel runs on the normal, what we call it, the gas system or direct impingement system. They've been around for a long time. They're very, tried and true. They are lighter, a little bit simpler. But again, everything comes with its pros and its cons. And then over here, we'll have the WLRC. This is going to be your short stroke gas piston. I kind of like the gas piston, but you're going to pay the price for it as well. But that's kind of the biggest difference right now. Kind of show you what the bolt carrier groups look like. So what you have here, this is your direct impingement. This is the normal one. You can kind of see the gas tube right here going down, which allows the BCD or the bolt carrier group to go back. And this right here, you can see it doesn't have that tube, but it has this little piece right there. And that's what makes them a little bit different in how they operate. It has like a little piston thing inside that pushes a rod, slams this thing back. So in another episode, we'll actually break that down for, again, newer shooters, so you can understand that portion of it a little bit more. Now we'll jump into the barrel qualities for those who don't know. The Daniel defense just comes, it's a cold hammered forge, just pretty much a kind of a normal barrel, but it's hardened under extreme pressure, so it's very reliable. I'm not saying, it's not, but it's very reliable. It's consistent rifling, which makes it really accurate. It's got very tight tolerance for the most part, so it helps increase the barrel life of it. It's got a CHF barrel. They're known for more durable under high heat, so that's why a lot of the military kind of went with them. They're more of a military spec firearm, just so you know. So they're excellent for defensive training, and if you want to do a ton of firing, you don't really have to worry about melting the barrel. They are chrome lined, which adds a little thin layer inside the bore itself. So that's inside the barrel is what I'm talking about. But it helps protect it more from corrosion, makes cleaning a lot easier. So there are some benefits to it. It does help the reliability under harsh conditions. Again, firing at this with steel rounds, it ain't gonna affect it at all. But supposedly it does lose a little bit of its precision because of the lining on the inside. But it just is what it is. It's a trade-off. It depends on what you want. But again, it's a good duty rifle, defensive rifle. So it again, like I said earlier, it's used as a standard government profile. So that's why again it's designed the way it is. It's not going to warp on you. It can handle any kind of environment for the most part. So it's built for durability. It's been proven. Daniel defense has been around for a long time. Again, it's a nice little mil spec barrel. Shoot sub MOA, so that's a minute of angle. Tight groups is what they're talking about. Again, another episode will actually break that part down too. But you got to have the right type of ammo. If you use cheap ammo, you're going to get a cheap shot. That's out of pretty much any gun, anyways. All right, enough about this guy. Now let's jump into the LWRC. Talk about its barrel. It's little bit more goes into the LWRC barrel. It's a lot more. It's a lot more hardened. It's got that also the I don't know what the heck they want to call that. around the barrel, the little pattern. It helps it keeps it a little bit cooler, but it also maintains its strength also. The hardened steel surface, improves the wear resistance on it. It offers a longer service life than untreated barrels. So again, it might even last longer than the Daniel Defense, but that's up to all the chemical nerds to kind of figure that one out. So, unlike the chrome lining, it has a nick core, and it doesn't add thickness to the barrel. So accuracy is still preserved with the LWRC. Again, it's not going to be a major difference, honestly, unless you're some kind of Jason Bourne sniper guy, I guess. Then you're going to have the big notice. But anyways, so biggest difference. This one is it's not really designed for the military, so they're a little bit more on their precision machined in housing. So it's the tolerance are a little bit tighter than the standard mil spec again, which that's what the Daniel Defense is. It's designed for the sub MOA accuracy as well. Again, so is the Daniel. Again, I'm gonna keep going back, so comparing them. So same thing, you have to use the good ammo if you want to get the good shot. So that's the big difference on a lot of people. The nickel born coated barrel extension, again, it just helps with corrosion protection, just kind of like when they put the nickel plated inside the Daniel Defense. So not a big difference, but a little bit of difference between the two. Depends on what you want. This one will stay probably a little bit cooler because it has that surface to where the if you saw that picture, it just helps cool it down a little bit faster. So yeah, just like that right there on the end of that barrel. It really helps. You see a lot of pistols that are designed that way. But it just helps with the cooling is what it is. So it's called a spiral fluting. I knew I had it in here somewhere. So it also helps reduce the weight while maintaining the stiffness and the strength of the rifle or the pistol actually. So the big I would say for the LWRC, it's more for the precision, longevity, hard use. A lot of competition shooters, I do see them using the LWRC actually over the Daniel Defense. But again, it's what you want. This is going to run really good with the suppressor versus the gas. The gas is going to give you a lot more dirty with using the suppressor. You have to clean it a lot more. But again, it's kind of what you want and what you can do. The weight, not that big of a difference. They're about 1 pound difference. But when you start adding things onto these rifles, that extra pound starts adding up, and then the extra pounds or ounces you actually start adding to the rifles. It's the distance. Short term, not a big deal. If you're just taking to the range and plinking, but if you're gonna go and do two gun competitions where you're going like 3 to 5 miles on a one of the courses, you're gonna feel it versus the Daniel. That 1 pound does make a difference over time. So the rail system, there's not too much difference between the two. The LWRC does sit a little bit higher, where the Daniel Defense, if you can see this right here, it's just right here on the back where the charging handle is, where this charging handle on this guy, not sure if you can see that one, where it sits just a little bit higher. It's not that much of a difference between the Daniel, but when you're doing your eye relief and stuff, it does make a little bit of a difference on the height. So one thing you got to think about is you might need a riser maybe for the Daniel or something like that. It just depends on how you put your eye. So again, with the mounting the optics, every optic will pretty much fit both of these guns. There's not a big difference between the two on that one. So you don't have to worry about that. So the accuracy again, they're both pretty much fairly close to the same. They say that the LWRC, I don't know why I keep saying W first, but the LWRC, they say it favors more on the stability and the recoil control, where this one kind of favors the more of the lightness of it. But again, prices, there's a big difference in price. This one, the LWRC, is probably going to run you about $600 more than the Daniel Defense, but you're also getting a lot more out of the LWRC right out of the gate. Again, just I do like, I don't own a piston, but I do like pistons. I use them overseas a lot. But the LWRC comes with ambidextrous mag release and bolt release, and it actually has even the firing mechanism, so safe, unsafe. So for all those lefties, this would probably be a good choice. Where the Daniel, at least this one right here, you can get those things put on, but this one comes with it. So again, you're paying for that upgrade on the firearm itself. So it kind of depends on what you're going to do. You want lighter, or you want something that's bomb proof, or you're ambidextrous, non-ambidextrous. So it kind of depends on what you're going to want, what your needs are, something you're going to have to look into and figure out exactly, what do you want to run with? If I could afford either one of them, yeah, I don't know. I might pick the LWRC. But again, that's just a personal choice. I remember when those guys first actually came out when I was contracting and people are talking about it. I only shot one of them once and actually kind of liked it. Shot Daniel Defense, same thing. I like them both. They both shoot really good, but it depends on what your mission is or what you want out of the firearm itself. This barrel will probably last you a lot longer because it's designed to last a lot longer. It's designed to pretty much shoot full auto if you want to make it a giggle gun. If you're not in California or in a liberal state, you can make it a giggle gun and it'll last. Where this one may not be all that happy with the giggle gun, but you can probably still do it. I'm pretty sure the bolt carrier groups can handle it. They both look like they're designed to handle full auto. But I didn't really look that part up. I'm pretty sure they are. Well, at least the Daniels, it says it can. So if you know what you want, head down over to the DCF, go to dcfguns.com. We actually have more options out there than these two. So that's kind of a little lowdown on LWs, I'm going to say W again, LWRC and the Daniel Defense, and go check it out online.
Gabe! Dude, Gabe, something's in the dumpster.
Whoa, what is that for?
Something's in the dumpster, man.
Well, let's use the burner. We don't want to wake the neighbors. Freeze! Stop resisting!
Stop resisting!
If you're looking for a less than lethal option for self-defense or keeping pests out of your dumpster, then check out Byrna at DCF Guns. Visit us at our 3 locations in Castle Rock or Colorado Springs, or visit us online at dcfguns.com.
Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter.
So you got to remember, people, setting up your firearm system I'll say your tool system is not just about looks. Okay. So the Gear Queer Tactical people, you see, the gun has just got so much stuff on it. It's just insane. So you got to remember, it's about performance under stress. That's what you want to design your firearm to be and to work with. So everything that you get, that's what you have to figure out. So let's jump into this. Red dots, iron sights. Benefits and pluses. Red dot benefit about a red dot is your target focus. The thing about iron sights is your sight focus. But how do you put your red dot on with iron sights, and how do you make sure they're both hitting the same spot? It's actually fairly easy. There's two different types of setups that you can use. You got a co-witness, so that refers to the red dot optic lining up directly with your iron sight. So it'd be this front sight post right here. Your dot would be sitting pretty much right on the red dot. The red dot would be sitting right on your front sight post. So that's what we would call co-witnessing. So if somebody asks you, how do you have it set up? Either co-witnessing. Again, it's just a little bit up above. So what is absolute co-witness? Like I was saying earlier, the red dot sits exactly in line with your iron sights when you look through it. Having flip up sights with this is not bad, because then your iron sights are gone out of the way, and it doesn't really interfere with your shooting with the red dot. But iron sights and red dot share the exact same side of plane. That's why you want the pop-ups. You must align your eye a little bit lower in the stock to get the proper cheek weld. But again, with your irons, you're always visible in your lower. So that's a benefit of it. It's a faster transition if your red dot goes out, because it's on the same playing field, and you're just really consistent because you have the same point of aim, the point of impact, POI. Sorry. So the cons is, it's in the way with the irons. It's kind of just right there in your face, especially if you don't have flip ups. You can't get it out of the way and stuff like that. The other one is the lower 1/3 co-witnessing. So the red dot appears slightly just above the iron sight. So some people just have it sitting just above the iron sight, kind of like a lollipop in a way, I guess you could say. I like mine, honestly, right with where my sight is. That way I can just go right to it, and it's the same when I flip up my iron sights. I don't have to think, especially when it comes to distance and stuff like that. It's always right where I want it. I don't have to have a different zero for it. So again, it's up to you and how you want to do it, but that's what they're called. So it requires a slightly taller optic mount sometimes. So it allows for more natural upright head position, so you can kind of keep your head up, which I think this actually one would help with that, because this LWRC that I was talking about earlier, the platform itself is just a little bit higher than what the Daniel defense is, so it might actually help with some of that stuff. I try to keep my head more straight up. I don't really try to bend over, bring my cheek down. I like to bring the gun to my cheek, but again, it's kind of what you prefer and what you're comfortable and how you hold it and stuff like that. So it is a cleaner field of view, but the red dot floats just above the irons. Um, they say it's easier for fast target acquisition under stress because it's more comfortable on helmets and nods and stuff like that. Which nods, you definitely want it up a little bit higher, anyways. So usually mine are up high just because of that. I just got used to it, so I don't have to bring my head again, like I was saying earlier. So it's really good for defensive shooters, stuff like that. Patrol officers. One thing you might want to think about. So just kind of keep that in mind. Backup sights. Those who just run red dots, those who just run an optic like an LPVO or 1-8 or something like that, and they don't have backup sights, I'm going to tell you right now, it's just stupid. For one, on red dots, batteries die. And for same thing with red dots and LPVOs and 1-8s, whatever, glass breaks. Things happen. What are you going to do? How are you going to maintain how are you going to engage if that does happen? I've seen it happen overseas. Somebody, a vehicle ran over their sights and it breaks. Well, they got iron sights. They're still good. Or, whatever. Have backups. So like I was talking about earlier, you can have it to where your iron sight, always have iron sights. Your iron sights will become your backup sights. And your primary will either be your red dot or your optic, whatever it is. If you have an optic LPVO or something like that to where you actually can't see your sights through it, you're going to have to get 45. So 45s, they just sit kind of off to the side in 45. So they'll be on the side right here versus on top. You can do left or right. So even if this is an ambidextrous one, you can do left or right. And all you got to do, again, it's a little bit of training. It's a little bit awkward at first, but you just tilt the gun at 45. It's really quick. The more you practice, the more you train with it. So if that drops, again, if you're if you're going to go into something, have those up and ready. Don't have them down when you're in getting into something, then have to flip them up in the middle of somebody shooting at you or you engaging or whatever. So have everything ready. So that's again, that just comes down with training. Slings. A lot of people forget about their slings. There's three different type of slings. You have a single point, a dual point, and then a 3-point sling. Single point sling, exactly what it is. It's a single point. It goes to a single point on the rifle itself. That one is designed for vehicles, CQB. It's extremely maneuverable. It's quick to put on. It's quick to take off. The only problem is, from experience, if you're gonna do a long movement, don't have a single point sling if you can avoid it. It hurts. You'll have a lot of bruises, and it's gonna hit things that you don't want it to hit. You can transition also for another pro. You can transition from shoulder to shoulder very easily and smoothly. That's why it's good for CQB. 2-point sling. It touches 2 points of the rifle, usually on the back, behind the pistol grip or the buttstock, and then in front of the barrel, usually at least in front of the magazine release here, or all the way up front in the barrel. So those are two different points. The benefit of this thing, it holds, it can support your rifle next to your body. You can get it nice and tight. It won't move. You can work around. You can fly behind your back. You can take off sprinting. There's a lot of good things for long movements, long things for a 2-point sling versus the single point. The the con is it's slower. You can't put it on as quick, especially in tight quarters, and you can't transition from shoulder to shoulder. That's why I always suggest get a sling that can do both single point and 2-point sling, because it's just a multi tool is what it is. 3-point sling, I think they suck. I've had them in competitions, and I've did 3 different companies, and they all 3 broke during the 2-gun competitions. But again, it offers security and retention for the most part. It's kind of both of them combined, but it's for long patrol carries, really what's designed for long movements. But it has a lot of there's more to it than just putting a little thing on your body. So that's go check them out. I don't think they're really worth the while when you can have a one that just does the 2-point and a single point, and you're going to be just great. So lights, putting a light on your firearm. Where are you going to put it? How you going to get to it? The biggest thing is find where it's comfortable. Don't put it on the top of the gun though. Put it like on the side, even maybe on the bottom, something like that. They say like a 10 or 2 o'clock position is kind of what you want. If you have a button on the back where you have to activate it with your thumb, just make sure where your hand is, it's natural where it goes, and that way you can just push the button. If you have a pad, you can actually get for a lot of lights. It's an activation pad. You can put it on the side, so you can kind of put the light anywhere technically on the gun if you have the pad, and just make sure you when you do push the button, you're pushing it when you want to, not when you don't want to. So the problem with a lot of lights, though, when you're running and moving around, especially CQB, if you had to transition to your secondary weapon, that thing's bouncing around, and if it's got a push button pad on it, it'll trust me, it'll go off a few times until someone of your partners hits you in the back of the head and tells you to take the battery out if your weapon's down. So just kind of things to think about. Plus, when you're using a flashlight, I hear it all the time. I got the highest looms out there. My loom, it can shine. You can see it from the moon. Okay, whatever. Good for you, buddy. But what about light? The splashback from the light. You ever think about that? When you're going around a corner from a wall, a barricade, even vehicles, that stuff throws you. They'll blind you too. So your own light can hinder yourself. So make sure you practice with it. The highest looms is not always the best thing, especially for CQB stuff, because you go into the wrong house, you go around the wrong corner with that light on, and next thing you know, you're blinded and the bad guys got the upper hand. So just something to think about out there when you're putting, even on your pistol, the same thing. People rat and rave about how bright their light is. Well, that's kind of cool. I never get the brightest one because I know real life stuff. So Yeah, just want just few things to kind of think about. Train with it, train at night, train in low light. You can do it in your house, figure out how it works, figure out the feedback from the splashback, I should say, um, and see if it's good. If it is, go with it. If not, you better change it because if you have to use that thing in real life and you get blinded when you're training, guess what's going to happen in real life? Maybe even worse. So, zeroing these things, it's not hard. They're actually fairly easy. You can take a class. Once you learn it, it really is. It's just easy. It really is. But you got to figure out what zero do you want. There's three different lines that you can zero on. Some people only say two, but I say three. But so yeah, the first one is a 25-yard line. It's the natural one. I think it's the one I even started in the Marine Corps. It might have been the 50-yard line, but I think it was a 25. Um, but the problem with that one at 100 to 200 yards, you're looking at 3 to 6 inch difference on your holds. So again, it's not the best thing for long distance shooting, but it is fast. A lot of ranges. Again, they can support the 25 yards, but at least you start somewhere, learn how to do it. It's good for CQB stuff because it's more close in, but again, that distance, it's not going to work. 36-yard, that's the one that I like. I learned it when I was doing contracting, and I've liked it actually ever since. But pretty much anywhere from 0 to 300 yards, I don't have to adjust big for to make any hits whatsoever. So it's very minimal, but it's great for both indoors, outdoors. That's the reason why I like it. I designed my stuff for more close range. I got other platforms besides the AR that are designed for pretty much 800 yards and further. These things can reach out to 800 yards if you're really good with them. But, anyways, it's not very 36-yard zero is not very well established. A lot of people don't know about it, but that's the one I prefer. The 50-yard zero, again, this is the most popular one. This probably is the one actually used in the Marine Corps. Again, I just don't remember, but it's very flat shooting all the way out to 200 yards. So it's easy to train. It's very predictable. But at 100 yards, you're looking at a 1.5 inch difference. As long as you know what you're doing, it's definitely manageable. The 25-yard one, again, that's a thinking man's game when trying to shoot out. So I highly suggest everybody never use that damn thing because the 36 and the 50-yard is going to be a lot more beneficial to pretty much any type of rifle, even 22s, in my opinion. But so for real world defense, what do you want to be effective? What do you want your accuracy be? Are you really going to reach out 3, 4, 5, 600 yards if you don't plan on it? And I'm going to tell you right now that 36-yard, you don't have to think if you're looking at taking out a torso size target. You just pretty much put it on it, aim, and it's going to tag. And really out to almost 400 yards. But so just kind of things to think about. We'll dig into the that yardage a little bit more soon. But anyways. So as for all the rest of the attachments, you got your forward grip, you got your lasers, you got your IR, which is the laser infrared. Again, your flashlights, I don't know, your digital movie camera, your GoPro camera. What else do they put on these things? I've seen some crazy stuff. IR flashlights and all this crazy. That adds weight, adds bulkiness, and you're becoming the tactical trap. I mean, just avoid it. Just get what you actually need to defend yourself. Now, if you're doing competition stuff, whatever, even then, a lot of the guys they keep their rifles slim because you're a lot more maneuverable with it and stuff like that. Um, and I'm gonna say, the odds of you actually using MVGs, using the night vision or sorry, MVGs, night vision goggles, infrared lasers, infrared lights is pretty much slim to none unless that's your work. So a lot of civilians, I mean, you can have it on hand in case, the zombie apocalypse hit or something like that, which, it might. I'm just saying, a lot of the people that came over the border recently. But honestly, you don't really need all that stuff on your firearm if that's not really your daily job. But you can have it on there. At least you have it. You know how to use it. Don't use this firearm as a Christmas tree tool. So stop dressing it up like it's a Christmas tree. Do what you got to do. Make yourself happy. Then, with all your gadgets and gadgets, practice moving. A lot of people never practice. They just go to the range, they stand in one spot, they put it on the bench, they never have it in the sling, and that's all they do. They don't practice transitioning. They don't transitioning from rifle to pistol, pistol to rifle. How does your gear move? Are you gonna wear battle rattle? So that's your body armor. That's your stuff like that. Are you gonna have a med kit? Put that stuff on and actually practice. See how your weapon system works with the gear you're gonna work with. So standing, kneeling, prone, peeking around corners, moving in and out of vehicles. Have you tried it? If you haven't, you're gonna look really stupid when you actually have all your crap on and you try to do that stuff. Add timers to it, add stress, add movement drills, test the sling tension. Is it actually holding? It does happen. Slings give out. I mean, I remember watching a dude repelling off a tower and his freaking M249 saw fell 300 feet and smacked the ground. Slings break. It does happen. So check your stuff. Make sure it's retaining properly. Train with your gear on your chest rig, your mag pouches, your body armor, whatever you are going to run with. Train with it. It's really that simple. You don't have to be out in town and doing it. You don't have to come to the gun range and stuff and do it. Put it on in your house. Go in your garage. Go at midnight in and out of your vehicle. See if it works. Somebody might call the cops if they see you because you look funny. But at least you know your crap works versus not knowing anything. So, again, little simple things. A lot of the guys at DCF they can help you out picking, choosing the right optic for your gun and stuff like that. With the better ones versus the cheaper ones. If you buy cheap, you're actually going to spend more money than you would if you just bought a good one right out of the gate. So, just little tiny things to think about, people. So if your rifle setup doesn't work when you're moving, sweating under pressure, then it's just nothing but a costume. It's just nothing but a Christmas tree that you're toting around. It's not even a good tool, more of a paperweight. So build it for the fight, not for the Instagram people. DCF News. I am not a news anchor. So, what I'm going to get into, these are real Americans. These are real stories defending their homes, their lives, their families. And this just happened recently. These are all new stories. This ain't like 10 years ago or anything like that. They are kind of hard to find, but let's jump right into this thing and let's go with it. So Anthony Sanders, he was picking up his fiance from the mall after she told him she had been harassed in an elevator by a group of men. Once they're in the parking lot, she had pointed him out to the husband, Sanders, which decided to approach the group, confronted them, left, came back, confronted them a second time. And that's when the suspect inside a silver Chrysler parked in the garage decided to take him out. At some point, there was a verbal altercation. One of the men inside the car, again later identified as Marco something. Not allegedly, he pulled a gun and fired multiple shots through the vehicle window. Sanders, who was unarmed, was struck several times, collapsed, and he later died in a nearby hospital. He was actually a retired Marine. Not sure. I couldn't find out when he had retired. But honestly, I can see I can, not funny, but funny. I can picture him just going full Marine on these people. I mean, you're screwing with the dude's wife. What do you expect? But anyways, they end up taking off. They had surveillance footage that showed the shattered window and the suspect vehicle as they drove away. So later on, they end up catching him. It was Marchio. He was 23 years old. He was arrested. Obviously, he's being charged with a homicide or murder for he's allegedly the one that fired the weapon. The investigators did recover shell casings inside the Chrysler, corroborating witnesses' account. And then another suspect, a little bit, I don't know, a few days later, 5 days later, on June 30th, 2025, surrendered. His name was Justin, 22 years old, surrendered to authorities. Now he's also being charged with murder, though his attorney has now claimed self-defense. His lawyer stated Sanders had reached under his shirt and appeared to have a firearm. However, police found no weapon on or near Sanders. Right now, they are both in custody on a $750,000 bond. So, the defense hinge on the concept of reasonable belief of threat. Texas law does not. This has happened in Texas. Sorry, Texas law does allow for self-defense if a person believes they're in danger of serious harm, even if no weapon is ultimately found. The shooter claimed Sanders posed a threat by brandishing a weapon. So right there's a lie, though. Though none were found, the legal gray area here highlights the importance of reasonable belief. So a lot of people don't realize that is never talk to law enforcement, always talk to your attorney. This is a prime example because of law enforcement, I'm just saying if they should have waited because it was self-defense supposedly. But they, if you believe what you believe in, they can't say that no, you didn't because they're not in your head. So, yes, ego versus the escalation. Sanders initiated the confrontation because of his wife. The escalation later, a lot of consequences. Decided to engage. He should have just walked away, honestly. But I kind of get it. His being a jarhead, I feel his anger actually. But Sanders, he was unarmed. He was. They're saying he was walking away. That's what witnesses were saying. Shots were fired. Again, which it weakens the defense of the individuals. So the aftermath again, the shooter surrendered. He's cooperating, so that's going to help him a little bit. But I think what's going to hurt him also is the fact that the dude was, even it is Texas. Kind of heard what their legal system is, but taking off like they did, that doesn't justify self-defense. Self-defense, you're going to hang out, you're going to wait. But anyways, that's just me. But for Colorado, under Colorado law, so let's make this more relevant to us here in Colorado because that's where we are. Welcome to DCF. So, the CRS 18-1-704 uses physical force in self-defense. The statute governs the use of non-deadly and deadly force outside the home. Deadly force is only justified when a person reasonably believes it is necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to themselves or another person, prevent the commission of a forcible felony. CRS 18-1-7045, the Make My Day law, that applies to inside your dwelling, inside your house. So obviously this isn't a public place, so it doesn't even matter. So location took place in a parking lot, not a dwelling. So the Make My Day doesn't apply whatsoever. So now we just have the self-defense law. So Colorado, you must be in reasonable belief that deadly force is necessary to prevent death or serious bodily injury. Key question: was Sanders an immediate, credible physical threat? Yeah, probably not, dude. You're in a car. And the fact that there's broken glass shows that their windows were up. So you still had that barrier between a guy that didn't have a weapon. So the only thing he could do was physically use his hands, feet, or head. So he's unarmed. And according to reports, he approached verbally, not physically. So that even weakens the self-defense claim here in Colorado. Actually, it's going to weaken his self-defense claim even probably in Texas. So the shooter, claimed Sanders reached towards his waistband. In Colorado, perception of a weapon can justify deadly force, but only if the threat is immediate and reasonable. So again, there goes that whole perception thing. It can screw you or it can save you. But the jury, obviously now it's going to go to court. Um, was he objectively reasonable with what he did? Did Sanders actually reach aggressively, or maybe he did? But hopefully, well, I guess maybe the security cam found it out. Colorado is a stand your ground state. A lot of people don't realize that, but you do not have a duty to retreat. But that doesn't give you blanket permission to just use deadly force or escalate the situation either. So the suspect was in a vehicle. He could have had just driven away, taken off. So again, prosecutors are going to say deadly force wasn't. I'm thinking they're going to say deadly force wasn't necessary. You had that one driver in Texas, actually, another veteran who defended himself at a BLM rally. Dude actually pulled an AK on him while he was in his vehicle, shot through his window, killed him, and actually he was sent to prison. But Governor, I think it was Abbott, I think he's the governor down there, actually pardoned him, so he got out. So just things to kind of think about when you're in these situations, people. He was unarmed, shooter was in the car. It was just a verbal confrontation. Shooter didn't retreat, but opened fire. Claimed person reached for his waistband. So there's a lot of weaknesses. I think the two things that might help this guy is he claimed he reached. Again, might support perceptive threat, and the no duty to retreat. Again, helps defense, but not decisive. So again, yeah, he didn't have the duty, but I think he's going to go to prison. That's just my personal opinion. So the likely outcome, what I figured out for Colorado, exact same occurrence. So a grand jury would likely be convened. Murder or manslaughter charges would be considered unless there was a strong corroborating evidence that Sanders made an aggressive move resembling weapons drawn. Surveillance video and witnesses' statement would heavily influence the case. Without proof of clear threat, deadly force would not be justified and charges will likely stick. That's what I think. Anyway, so for listeners, you can't shoot just because someone is angry and confrontational. Use your brain, people. The threat needs to be immediate and needs to be serious. Perception of a weapon isn't not enough. You better see it. So without strong evidence or context, you're going to be screwed. Being in a vehicle doesn't automatically protect your action. The law still requires necessary. You're going to have to do what you just get out of there, man. Leaving the scene is not going to help you either. If it's in self-defense, it's actually going to cause you more legal problems here in Colorado, at least. So just something to think about. All right. East Perry, Missouri. So on June 29th, 2025, East Perry, Missouri, 31-year-old John Fisher was fatally shot after violently attempting to break into a home late at night, according to reports. Fisher used brass knuckles, I haven't seen brass knuckles in a long time, to smash the front door glass panel and shouted threats as he tried to force his way inside, reported yelling, "You have to kill me." The homeowner, Austin, I'm not even going to try it, warned Fisher he was armed, but Fisher continued advancing, fearing for his safety and the safety of his family. Glaster fired multiple rounds, 4 to 6 shots through the door, striking Fisher several times. Fisher died at the scene. Scott County Sheriff Derrick publicly called the incident a clear case of self-defense, noting that the homeowner remained inside, gave verbal warnings, and cooperated fully with law enforcement. And by immediately calling 911, no charges have been filed, and Missouri's self-defense law supports the homeowner's action under the state justifiable force statute. I wish we had that statute. I like that one. That's a good one. That's better than ours. And I'll get into that here in a second. But little insight, perimeter. The homeowner didn't chase him. He defended from inside the home, which is good. Verbal warning. He let him know. Say, hey, I'm armed. You better freaking take off. Didn't deter him. He actually made the guy more aggressive, which can happen, but whatever. He cooperated with authorities. He called 911 immediately, full cooperation. So I think, yeah, just like what the sheriff said, no charges whatsoever. So what would happen here in Colorado? Going back to the revised statute 18-1-7045, use of deadly force against an intruder, often called the Make My Day law, which talked about a minute ago. So the statute of Colorado covers homeowners inside their dwelling, and protects, again, you just inside your home. So a person is justified in using deadly force or physical force, including deadly physical force, against another person when that person has made an unlawful entry into the dwelling. The occupant reasonably believes that the intruder intends to commit a crime in the dwelling. In addition to the uninvited entry, any occupant reasonably believes that the intruder might use any physical force, no matter how slight, against them. So, applying that case here in Colorado, obviously it meets the threshold of an unlawful entry because he broke the glass, the brass knuckles again, and then he implied his ready for violence by pretty much saying you're gonna have to kill me. So he that kind of tells me like this dude's gonna do some major harm. That's just me. Um, but shooting through the door, this would be heavily scrutinized here in Colorado because you have to be inside the dwelling. You can't be outside the dwelling. Does not protect you on the Make My Day law. So firing through the door is going to raise a lot of concerns. You have to, again, outside. It only applies. Yeah, the shooter. You have to be inside. The prosecutor, he could argue self defense, but especially here in Colorado, you're probably going to get screwed. Well, not really screwed. You won't be covered under the Make My Day law, which pretty much prevents you from being sued civilly versus criminally. Criminally, again, looks like you still could be charged because he's outside the home. Again, I don't know what the door looked like per se. I don't know if he actually made it through the threshold because he broke the glass. I don't know what kind of, just said he broke the glass. Couldn't find a picture of it, but I tried to. But I mean, to me, it's a clear cut case of self defense. Because again, he's got his kids inside. This dude's outside trying to come in, break in. He's already broke the glass. He's saying he's not going to stop. You're going to have to kill me to make me stop. So it's going to be a tough one. But was it true to fully inside? That's the only thing. Was he like in or out? And Colorado, again, that little level right there. I think we need to make it to where it actually covers our property versus just inside of our dwelling. Um, but anyways, see, there was verbal confrontation of a threat. Brass knuckles were visible and used. The homeowner inside did not pursue him, so that supports the self defense claim. But was there surveillance video? That's what a lot of people, again, if you have it, that's going to help you. I try to tell people, oh man, get that Ring camera. You think it's going to suck, but it could help you out one day. So thing is, if Fisher had crossed the threshold even slightly, he was making verbal threats with brass knuckles visible. The brass knuckles were visible and likely would justify under Make My Day law. However, if the homeowner shot blindly through a still closed door without clear visible confirmation that Fisher had entered, a grand jury might be convened and charges could be possible. Though still likely, if force appeared imminent and necessary, he might get away with it here. You might get away with it here in Colorado, I should say. So know your thresholds. When someone is inside your home unlawfully and threatens violence, you are protected. But forced used, sorry, but before before force is used, before clear entry, may still land you in court, especially if you shoot through walls, doors without eyes on the threat. So make sure you can see the threat. So I know I have a glass entry door, but I also have another door. So I tried to find pictures of it, figure out what kind of door it was. I couldn't find it. But know your legal boundaries as well as your shooting lanes. Because in Colorado, you're most protected when an intruder is clearly inside your home. Again, that's criminal and civilly. So need to be past that threshold. The entry of your doorway, your window, your garage door, whatever it is. If your garage is detached, it doesn't count. Just your vehicle doesn't count either. It's not an extension of your home. But train for cover. Also, train to confirm. Have good tactics. Have a good line of sight on somebody if they're coming into your house. Don't just shoot blindly. Plus, you want to identify your actual threat in case it's just a drunk friend coming over or whatever. Verbal commands are going to help a lot in de-escalating in case it is your drunk buddy. Tell them you're armed, get out. Hopefully your friend would say, no, it's just me. So have the de-escalations, train in your house, use your furniture in your house to help support you in defending your home. If you're going to go and well, especially if somebody's trying to break into your door, I'm going to go look. But if someone, I'm going to tell you right now, somebody's already in your house. You don't know who it is. You say you have a weapon. Again, depends on the layout of your house. Everything is an if. But if you like multiple stories or something like that, and you have family to protect, do not go searching for the intruder. Just call the cops, because if it's more than one intruder or whatnot, wait for them to come to you. Don't go to them, because they're going to shoot you, because they don't care who you are. Where you might hesitate to try to identify who's actually in your house, versus they're not going to hesitate whatsoever. So just food for thought. Um, just keep that in the back of your mind, as that does happen. Because if you go out there, you got family to protect behind you, you go try to find them and you get whacked, who's going to protect your family? So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So the Houston case shows us how quickly things can escalate. Just a verbal altercation, your perception of the threat will be judged afterwards, sometimes without full evidence of a weapon. The Missouri case, it happened in Colorado. It reminds us that the moment of entry changes everything legally. So the first foot over the threshold means the difference between justified shooting and a non-justified shooting. So just need to be through that threshold, guys, because I still think, regardless, he's outside the door. Depends on what city you live in. You may get off, you may not get off. So in both situations, post-incident behaviors matter. One guy took off, the other one called 911 immediately. So obviously they're probably going to believe he's also the homeowner, but the one who takes off, your self-defense claim is going to be highly unlikely, unless you're still being attacked by others and you have to get out of there. So kind of think those things in mind. So don't overcomplicate it. Just stay grounded. Be smart about it. If you have to use it, do not panic. Take some breaths. Relax. That's all I got.
Hi, I'm John Tig Tigan. I'm one of the Benghazi warriors from 9/11 2012 or 13 Hours movie. If you're a gun owner or plan on becoming a gun owner, this is where DCF comes in. As one of the lead instructors over here at DCF Guns, I'm going to ensure that you can properly handle your firearm and properly defend and protect your loved ones and yourself. For those of you guys that are thinking about purchasing a gun or getting involved in firearms, DCF Guns has an introductory class which will teach you the very basics of firearms, how to store firearms, even how to pick your own firearm if you have not yet. Our next step is the 100 series. We're going to go into the fundamentals of marksmanship, which is going to be how to hold your firearm, how to sight in your firearm. Then we're going to go into the next step, which is going to be your maintenance, disassembling, reassembling your firearm. And then we're going to go into how to strings of fire, rapid fire, how to get more accurate shots on your thread. Our next step is the 200 series. With pistol, we're going to teach you how to draw from the holster and return to the holster in a safe manner. With the carbine, we're going to teach you how to use the sling properly. We're going to teach you how to do proper reloads, what different types of reloads there are. We're going to teach you cover and concealment, what's the purpose of each and which one does what, and then good in shooting and moving, and also transitioning from your rifle to your pistol and back from your pistol to your rifle. Your next step is going to be the level 300 series. This kind of combines all your training into one step. Keep going forwards. What we do, we're going to go into low light. We're going to go into close quarter combat stuff, CQB, room to room clearing, situational training and stuff like that. Your training never ends, so get in here and let's get it done. Start your training at DCF Guns today and save on classes when you become a member. And when you become a member at DCF Guns, you can unlock some major benefits. Priority range reservations, discounts on firearms and ammo, discounts on gunsmithing, and we offer a lifetime cleaning. So visit dcfguns.com to learn more, or you can contact us directly with any questions you might have.
So you might be thinking to yourself, I sighted in at 25 yards. I hit center mass, and I am good to go. I'm here to burst your bubble. Bust your bubble. You're not. You need to zero at every single yard line so you know exactly where you're hitting. So if you got a 25-yard zero, see where it's hitting at 50, see where it's hitting at 100, see where it's hitting at 200. Because if you assume you're hitting and you don't know the holds and anything like that, if you got a 25-yard zero, you're going to miss at 200 yards if you try to hit center mass. So in real life, that's going to be the difference between hitting your threat and hitting an innocent person. So know where your zeros are. So don't have that false sense of confidence. Don't do it because you're probably getting the most dangerous person running into the fight. Learn your holdovers. And for the ammo, if you keep changing your ammo, your zero changes with every different brand of ammo you use and different powder that you use. You have 75 grain or whatever, 55 grain. It's going to change your zero. So know your ammo that you're going to use for self-defense and know where it's going to hit at every yard line so you know where to aim. That's why I like my 36-yard line. I really don't have to think about it too much. But if you're not if you don't shoot a lot, you just go out there, you tinker a little bit, and you're using these things for self-defense. Make sure you know where it's at. In the real world, that miss, it's going to cost you. It could cost you everything that you've worked for your whole entire life. So take your time. Go figure out what it is. We have DCF, we have a 100-yard indoor range. At least you can get that figured out where you're hitting 100 yards. And can you even see a silhouette at 100 yards? I barely can. Anyways, I got to use a 1-to-8 optic. So my red dots, again, now I can actually see a little bit further, but that's why I use my red dots are 36 yards. So that way I know where I'm at with my ballistics. I know where my point of aim versus my point of impact. So it's key to knowing where it's at. So confirm your zeros often. It's not a set and forget. You always try to reconfirm it, especially if you're banging around. Even in the gun safe, optics do go. They do adjust sometimes, but you change your mount and anything like that. You do you take your weapon apart and you get it all clean and stuff. Always go and shoot. That's what I do. I mean, just reconfirming it. Everything is working properly. Plus, when I clean my firearm, I'm making sure it actually works after I clean it. Especially it's something I use my self-defense. So if you do drop it or anything like that, you definitely want to go and re-zero it. I know they have a lot of options that say the zero perfect, whatever they call them, but elevation, temperatures shifts and stuff like that, humidity, that's going to change your zero. So don't assume you shoot here in Colorado, you go down to freaking Texas or you go down to Florida thinking you have the same zero. On 1000%, you do not. So always check that zero. You can use Sharpies to actually mark where your screws are when you put your optic on, just to see if they moved at all. And when you are cleaning your firearm, check your optics, check your sights. That goes for pistols as well. I've had people's optics fly off their pistol during training because they never check it. They think they get it on, it's good to go. I use Loctite. I don't need to do anything else. Yeah, well, I've seen different. So checking your zero doesn't take any time at all. 10 minutes at the most, 1, 2, 3 rounds. Depends, if you got a good system or not, or, indoor range, waiting for the targets to go down and back, whatever it is. You got good binoculars. You can see where you hit. Don't have to bring it back. So again, test your zeros under stress. Also, you're good off a prone. Okay, good. What about, low light? Where's your aim for a low light situation? If you don't even have a light on your firearm, what's your zero for kneeling, crouching behind a truck? And there's all kinds of different. You got a battle zero also when you put your equipment on. We have a range. We had a range zero and we had a battle zero, because when you put different stuff on, you actually hold your weapon different. You look through it different. Helmets, everything changes the way you look through your rifles. So knowing what your zeros are, being able to change them on the fly if you can, knowing your clicks and stuff like that will be huge. So again, if you're going to carry the rifle for duty or defense, then again, you owe it to your team, you owe it to your family, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to the freaking community. If you're going to use it, to know what your zero is and when you're going to fight with it. So here's a little challenge I'm going to give you guys. So this week, take your rifle to the range, confirm at 25 or 36 or 50 yards, depending on your preferred zero, and then see where it's hitting when you go further out. Just try 5 rounds at each different distance. Again, 36, 50, obviously at 50. I'll keep it simple. do 75, do 100, do 125, 150, 175, 200, however far out you think you might use this thing for self-defense. You think you're going to hit out 1,000 yards with this guy? Do it. Where's your hold? Figure out exactly where it is. Get a piece of paper, write it down. Say, okay, this is where I'm at. I'm about 6 inches up, 1,000 yards. Who knows? Maybe doing, some artillery shots at 1,000 yards with this guy. But know where you're doing. Be consistent with it. Log it in a notebook. Use an app. There's apps you can use. Repeat, repeat, repeat. If the group isn't consistent, do not leave. Make sure you're rock solid. And again, you'll be head of the group. 90% of the shooters at your range, you'll be a lot better off. You know exactly where you're hitting and pick that distance that you want, and you're going to be good. Don't think just because somebody, especially that you have those guys that said, "Oh, I used a bore sight. I'm good to go. I did it back in 2020 and never took anything off." I guarantee you're going to be way more accurate than that guy. So just little things to think about. Your zero sucks. Everything else is it's going to show. It doesn't matter how fast you transition, how cool your sling setup is, or how aggressive your grip looks. You cannot miss your target fast enough to win. Check your zeros. Check your zeros. So if your zero's off, your entire defensive plan is off. There's nothing your offensive plan is completely off as well. So get it right. Stay on the bench. Take your time, because in real life, nobody's checking your gear. They're watching where your rounds land. That's what they're doing. So if you're missing, you're screwed. So comparing your zeros, again, just get it done. Figure it out. I'll try to go into the actual different 0-yard lines at another time, but zero your rifle, be consistent with it. Always double check it. Especially when you're getting a rental from a gun store. Those are really fun. Those zeros are always off, but check your zeros. So we've said it all today, and I've meant every word. You saw 2 really good ARs, figuring out which one you may want, which one you don't want. Very compatible. I mean, again, I like the layout of the LWR. I like the ambidextrous layouts, for transitioning from shoulder to shoulder. Sometimes you got to dump a mag with your secondary hand. Again, just depends on what you want to do. So whether you ride with the direct impingement or piston precision, it's not about what's in your safe. It's about what's on you when things go loud. So make sure you have what is correct. Don't use cheap stuff, especially when it comes to optics. But you heard how how you can actually set up your rifle for defense. And don't use it for Instagram unless that's what you're getting paid to do. But check your optic height, check your sling positions. Either your gear is going to work with you, or it's going to work against you. If it's going to work against you, it's really going to slow you down and probably get you whacked. So we walk through real Americans defending themselves at home. Well, not really defending themselves in public, but in parking garages in Texas, to the door in Missouri. So learn from their lessons, control your environment, know the law. It's going to help you out a lot. It's going to keep you out of trouble. It's going to pretty much maintain everything you worked for. So when the time comes, you don't hesitate. Finally, we ranted about the truth. That too many look over. 0 isn't just a number. It's a lifeline. So if it's off, you're not reliable. I don't want you next to me. So check your 0, check your holds, train for the positions you'll fight from, and be ready for the threat. So we're not training for social media. We're not training for the worst. We're training for the worst days of our lives. So stay dangerous, set discipline, and always move with a purpose, train like it matters, and never forget, always move forward. This is DCF Guns on Tape.